So we're getting close to the final version of the prototype mock-up for the fuel tank. Shape's not quite spot on yet. Be extending these pipes that will go right down into the sump. The sump area will actually be a flattened triangle that's equal sided rather than this equilateral. On that side we've got the fuel outlet. Box section at the back here to allow for the fuel sensor gauge, and still gives plenty clearance for the brake compensator valve, which is all done now. So we've got the bracket modified, still need a wee bit polishing there. Modified this side of the hanger bracket for the fuel tank temporary frame, but still got to do the other side. Also over here, as well as the chassis fuel tank inlet, plan of action at the moment is either to this side or possibly to the back, and this is likely to be within the caged area, the secondary fuel inlet. So the two tanks have two separate inlets. They're easy to fill because they'll be next to each other or one in front of the other. Got the hanger down there, a double exhaust pipe. So the plan of action is to use the Land Rover stainless steel exhaust pipe that I've got that Aiden's going to be picking up down in Yorkshire, and they're 42mm, so it'll be like a double over-under shotgun, two welded together, and that runs past and clear there. So we're getting there. Still got to work out exactly whether I'm going to have strapping to hold it in place, tension strapping, or bolt-on. But strapping's favoured as a more flexible approach, and it avoids having weld-on tabs on the fuel tank, which at the moment looks to be aluminium alloy. Top section on the mock-up isn't quite right. That would be flat for longer and then angled. So, bottom of the fuel tank. One of the key features, once the modifications are done to the fuel sensor, so the float goes all the way down to the bottom, one of the key features is that the bottom of the alloy tank and the bottom of the main tank will be just about level. So the one fuel gauge, because they're cross-flow piped, the one fuel gauge will read both tanks, albeit maybe not so much when you're driving off-road obviously, but certainly when you're parked on reasonable level you get a good indicator. And on the secondary side, plan of action is not to have a complete cross-flow on this one, and effectively what that means is it gives you a reserve tank of probably somewhere in the region of 5 litres, which will be switchable. So you can either have the reserve permanently switched on, or if you're running low and you want to avoid the risk of running out without being aware, you can switch off the reserve tank, engine cuts out, switch on the reserve, and that gets you that last bit to the filling station. So that's the mock-up for the fuel tank.